Pernell Roberts, our giver Bonanza's Adam Cartwright was a polished gentleman. Calm, confident, and easily charming. Behind that smooth-talking exterior, Hollywood wasn't ready for this fire. A man of conviction and raw honesty who rejects Hollywood deception. He didn't care stepping on toes to stand by his truth, no matter how forceful opposite party was. Most Golden Age stars smiled through gritted teeth, burying grudges behind champagne glasses and pleasant laughter. Pernell was different. Nothing was sugar-coated. Truth trumped popularity for him. He'd rather lose a role than his integrity. He was feared and revered for his bravery. At glamorous industry events, Pernell would shout what others whispered. He stated he hated certain actors. Some who were arrogant, hypocritical, or fake morals contradicted his values. And today we dive right to the 5 secret list names. Feuds, scandals, and tumultuous events. Hollywood glamour. After hearing these tales, never view certain legends the same way again. Before the drama begins, if you like Pernell Roberts or old westerns, subscribe to our channel. True stories underlying Hollywood's golden age are juicier than the fairy tales it peddled to the public world. Pernell Elvin Roberts Jr. was born in a tiny community on May 18, 1928 in Waycross, Georgia, a sleepy southern town where the Great Depression made every day a struggle. Survive. He was the only child of hard-working Dr. Pepper and Minnie sales manager Pernell Roberts Sr. His loving mother, Myrtle Morgan Roberts, fostered his creativity and fierceness. Independence. Pernell wasn't a normal southern boy growing up. As other kids, while chasing baseballs or getting into trouble, he played his horn at church and enjoying expression. His presence was noticeable even when he didn't try. Still, acting wasn't his initial plan. After high school, he enrolled at Georgia Tech to pursue a steady engineering career. But he quickly realized his spirit wasn't designed for plans and calculations. He joined the Marine Corps in 1946 and served 2 years. That would influence his discipline and resolve. His creativity never left him, and uniform dimmed. His Marine Corps band tuba and trumpet playing kept him busy, passion in the military's organized chaos. Once his service finished, he'd take a risk that would change everything. He joined the stage ultimately beckoned him home at Maryland. Immersing, Pernell discovered his vocation in student theater, and the world was about to encounter a guy who wouldn't bow to fame, money, or fakes again. Pernell didn't stumble into acting. He felt fate dragging him. What began as curiosity became a burning passion, not a hobby. It was fate calling. He boldly dropped out of college to pursue his dream full-time. Risky, wild, and completely against nature. Definitely Pernell Roberts. He desired more. Safe life. He wanted a good tale. The early 1950s saw him pack his few belongings, gathered his courage, and headed for New York City, the city where you can become famous or fail instantly. There he was enrolled at the elite American Academy of Dramatic Arts, polishing his craft and hustling through every odd job he could find. Waiting tables, hauling props, anything that kept him afloat, because giving up wasn't an option. Finally, in 1952, his persistence paid off. Pernell received his first job in The Man Who Came to Dinner. It was an acting role, but it was a start. A spark that ignited his path toward greatness. That modest step signaled the beginning of a career that would be as rebellious as it was remarkable. He wasn't chasing stardom. Truth was his goal. He refused to play by Hollywood script, forging his own instead, one role at a time. After the first taste off the spotlight, Pernell went Allen. He delved into theater, voice imposing his presence. Whether he was on stage or backstage, you could sense the intensity radiating from him. Soon he began appearing in legendary plays, The Taming of the Shrew, Romeo, and Juliet. Each a display of his depth and conviction. His tenure at the New York Shakespeare Festival solidified his fame. Earnest, passionate actor who could silence a crowd. Hollywood arrived in the late 1950s. He made his film debut in 1958. Desire Under the Elms, competing with Sophia Loren and Anthony Perkins. He appeared in Western The Sheepman that year. Discreetly suggested his future genre. After a year, Roberts' name began. The Virginia Gunsmoke is everywhere. Every role added layers. His legend is increasing. When 1959 arrived, the year everything changed. Pernell Roberts played Adam on Bonanza, Cartwright is a tough, bright, and noble eldest son. The show exploded overnight. America was hooked. Suddenly, Pernell left. From hungry theater actor to celebrity. Even his fame draped about him, his eyes still burned with fire. The loca man who wouldn't let Hollywood tame his truth. Week after week, millions tuned into Bonanza to watch the Cartwright family cross the Ponderosa Ranch, a symbol of America, the golden age of TV. Among all those faces, Pernell Roberts was tranquil. Authority and bright mind that shone. Not the loudest or flashiest, yet his calm earnestness was remarkable. Pernell still sensed an unease. Fame, acclaim, even money couldn't erase the notion that Adam Cartwright was a phony. He felt stuck. Inside another's body. When something felt incorrect, Pernell didn't bite his tongue. He was respected and feared for Bonanza. Conflicted with producers over poor storyline and one-dimensional writing. To him, Adam Cartwright deserved more than corny dialogue and plots. The show had all the glamour. Yes, but where was the depth, truth, meaning? Pernell sought meaningful stories, not just serial commercial sellers. Thus, at the peak of 1965, his celebrity, he performed the unthinkable. Walked away. Hollywood gasped. They were fans grieved, the press dubbed it career suicide. Pernell didn't care. He wasn't fearful of burning bridges to follow his own path. First time back at the theater, love while guest starring on TV to keep the lights on. It was challenging rebuild, but Roberts was stronger. The bet paid off. He led Trapper John in the late 1970s. Brought him critical recognition and a new project. Base of fans. It showed that being yourself takes longer, but it's worth it. Lasts longer. Under that calm, contemplative appearance, Pernell kept his opinions were harsh, especially about co-workers. And things get hot behind Hollywood smiles and handshakes. Feuds, rivalries, and major behind-the-scenes drama. Start with Michael Landon, number 1. In the beginning, Pernell and the show's youngest star nice, polite, even pleasant. But as the seasons went, Landon's ambition became too bright. He was the network's love, charisma, and photogenic. Loved by fans. The world knew him as Little Joe, the golden boy. But behind situations, Pernell saw another side. Domineering, selfish, and hungry for attention. Landon wrote and directed after gaining power. Episodes himself. The scripts changed abruptly. Scenes were rewritten. Even so, Little Joe always looked better when it meant downplaying other characters. Pernell saw it as a power grab. According to insiders, say Roberts snapped and confronted Landon, saying, "You're not trying to make the show better. You're trying to make yourself greater." Friendship ended. Speaking was rare unless the cameras were rolling. Roberts he hated Landon's beautiful boy image, saying he acted deep on it. Screen, but avoided honesty in life. Finally, Pernell walked away from Bonanza. Michael Landon's chilly silence, no farewell, no public respect was the ultimate insult. It was a Hollywood breakup that never healed, and Roberts never forgot it. Pernell couldn't resist when Michael Landon became famous with Little House on the Prairie years later. Jabbing sharply. Landon reportedly smirked when asked about his accomplishments. Remarked, "It's more of the same. And still playing cowboy, still playing saint." Ouch. That statement hit hard. It demonstrated that even with years between them, the bitterness hadn't diminished one bit. For Pernell, Landon's photo ideal image was simply too polished to be real, and he never ceased seeing right through it. Number 2, Dan Blocker. Now, this feud was different. Pernell's falling out with Dan, the sweet actor who played gentle giant host Cartwright, disappointment drove it, not wrath. In early Bonanza they were close buddies. Both were classically trained. Both valued their work and wanted success. Convey meaning. However, Roberts' network disputes grew louder. Dan gently retreated, preferring peace over protest. And Pernell took it personally. He thought Blocker should have supported him in his show challenge. Weak writing and tone-deaf native treatment. Instead, Dan mediated while Roberts negotiated. Fought alone. For Pernell, that wasn't diplomacy. Cowardice. In one heated interview, he remarked, "Dan chose emotion above spine. Comfort over conscience." Hollywood exploded with that remark. The tension peaked one afternoon when Pernell walked off set mid-scene, upset over Oppor's script. Dan ended filming, which broke something Pernell trusts. Later that day, Roberts quietly confronted him, staring him in the face. "You always had a choice." Dan's brotherhood-like bond began to erode after that. He never publicly criticized Pernell, but he never defended him. That final silence stung worse for Roberts. It wasn't simply loyalty. Principle in watching a friend choose silence over truth, that's what matters. Chuck Connors, third, suffered most. Chuck Connors, the tall commanding celebrity, met these two men and sparks flared. Of the Rifleman, another Western TV hero with a flawless appearance, was loved by fans and media, loved him, and Hollywood treated him like king, but Pernell wasn't buying it. They met, charity extravaganza honoring Western TV legends. Cameras flashed, crowds shouted. Behind the curtains, Connors acted like he owned the place. Witnesses alleged snapping at staff workers, ignoring help, and treating everyone like extras in his personal space movie. For Pernell Roberts, respect and humility were paramount. People there that night claim Roberts' arrogance was poison. Everything was observed, especially when Connors loudly chastised a young stagehand for a small mistake. Pernell lost his temper and stood off to the side, staring at Connors, witnesses said. Pernell didn't join them backstage when they met. He told him directly what he'd witnessed. Was embarrassing and that fame did not excuse trashing others. That showdown became Hollywood mythology. Spoken about for decades, Connors shrugged it off publicly, but insiders say he never forgot the sting. Pernell Roberts called Chuck Connors out in front of his peers. Words flew swiftly, harsh, and without mercy. Filter. Roberts called Connors a liar for pursuing celebrity instead of Connors told him he valued flashing cameras over class. Did not pause, insulting Roberts as anger bubbled as the bitter quitter couldn't take victory. From that day forward, their friendship was over. Roberts privately called him all hat, no soul, a guy. Pernell saw Chuck Connors as stylish but lacking in substance, the worst Hollywood star, charming on screen, brutal off. Roberts preached humility in interviews but used others like props. At night, that was unforgivable and disappointing. Fourth, Lauren Green. This stung more than any of Pernell's feuds. Cut worse than the one with Lauren Green, who played his father, Ben Cartwright, to millions. Loyal devotees. On TV, their bond looked touching, almost sacred, the wise said. Father guiding his noble kid, but behind the scenes it was different. Later, Roberts said their connection felt suffocating, that Green burned him raw with his subtle authority on and off set. Pernell loathed how happy Green seemed. The clean endings, family-friendly principles, and safe scripts that avoided anything bad made Bonanza predictable. Controversial. Roberts desired fire, drama, and societal impact in his stories. Green wasn't concerned in justice or human truth. Roberts said the network's conservative, commercial approach wasn't professional, that was surrender. He told a close friend he preferred comfort over courage. Creative conflict grew personal quickly. Roberts became convinced Green feared him as a younger, sharper actor who wouldn't stay silent. By pushing boundaries whenever possible. By Bonanza's peak, the air between them was frigid. Pernell disliked how Green's control formed the cast. All actors, especially younger ones, followed his lead without challenging him. It drove Roberts mad. He sought truth, not submission. He was fed up. By 1965. Pernell Roberts performed what no Hollywood actor dared. Withdrawing from Bonanza, he lost one of the highest television salaries. When reporters questioned why, he replied in Pernell, "I could not face a lifetime of removing my hat and saying, yes, P to the public." Lauren Green remains America's fave TV dad. Wise, steady, and always kind. Pernell Roberts saw him as Hollywood's risk-averse worst. He was too safe, content, and comfortable with the status quo. While others saw warmth, Pernell saw complacency. Fifth, James Drury. As the stoic star of the Virginia, Drury's dispute with Roberts was neither about ego or talent. The issue was values. Pernell was more than an actor. He was an activist too. He strongly opposed racism, the Vietnam War, and Hollywood's culture of silencing dissenters. He took risks in a flaming world. Drury preferred to keep politics out of Hollywood. He believed actors should remain impartial and concentrate on their craft. This thinking was cowardly to Pernell. People often hide behind their popularity rather than using it for good. Their conflict was more than just a disagreement. The war of values demonstrated Roberts' unwavering commitment to his beliefs. James Drury, a confident conservative, believed politics had no place in show industry. When their worlds merged, it was ugly. The ideological conflict erupted in the 1970s during a TV panel about the future of television. Cameras rolled, audiences gathered, and tension was thick enough to cut. When the moderator inquired about Hollywood's responsibility to reflect reality, Pernell Roberts was candid. He passionately criticized networks for acting safe and turning westerns into comfort food for the masses. He argued that TV had chosen profit over truth, which was evident. The crowd quieted amid the heat. Drury was not silent for long. He replied with a chilly, steady voice. People don't want preaching, they want out. Then things got personal. The two exchanged heated words, their disagreement extending beyond TV. Upon panel conclusion, observers reported that they left in opposite directions without a handshake or smile, leaving tension in the air. Later, Roberts told a friend. Drury was more than just an actor. He spoke for the status quo. What hurt him most wasn't Drury's politics. It was his quiet. Drury remained silent throughout the civil rights movement, when voices were crucial. To Roberts, quiet was not neutral. It was treachery. He believed that using a platform was a responsibility. Drury's silence exemplified Roberts' disapproval of Hollywood's comfort-first approach. Despite facing challenges and losing friendships, Pernell Roberts remained resilient. He was a man of conviction, willing to sacrifice comfort for truth. Although the public perceived him as strong, his personal life was more fragile, with heartbreak, loneliness, and a constant search for purpose. Pernell had a turbulent personal life as well as a successful job. Four marriages ended in misery, despite initial promise. His first marriage to Vera Moy, a renowned theater professor, occurred in 1951. With their kid, Jonathan Christopher Roberts, everything appeared stable for a while. Pernell loved his son, but his restlessness and exposure to the spotlight hindered family life. By 1959, the marriage had broken down. Although he was present in his son's life, distance and emotional barriers hindered him. Though he loved sincerely, he struggled to express it. His subsequent marriages to Judith Anna Leans and Karanak ended in divorce. Pernell, according to friends, never wanted to be tied down and struggled to combine his independence with his love. His close friends reported that he kept his emotions private. Despite being surrounded by people, his eyes conveyed a sense of loneliness, as if he were continually pursuing something unattainable. The catastrophe broke him totally. The father lost his only son, Jonathan, aged 38 years old in a motorbike accident in 1989. The news slammed Pernell like a freight train. Friends stated he never recovered. Although he rarely discussed it, the grief remained with him throughout his life. Once fearless against Hollywood, the man now had a wound that could not be healed by any amount of strength. Pernell Roberts had a confident smile and harsh remarks, but was still human. He dedicated himself to his trade and ideals, sometimes losing sight of what mattered most. Later in life, Pernell Roberts reconciled with his fourth wife, Eleanor Criswell, whom he married in 1997. For once, life slowed. He found comfort in their tranquil, solid friendship after decades of tumult. They maintained their relationship until his dying, a rare steadiness for a guy who had always been on the move. Despite his devotion, the scars of his history remained. He was haunted by memories of shattered marriages and the loss of his son. Pernell Roberts was brave, outspoken, and unyielding throughout his life. However, independence came at a high cost. Despite his confident appearance and powerful voice, he was a man of silent misery and loneliness. Off-screen, his life was a collage of love, sorrow, rebellion, and introspection, shaped by his decisions. Over time, he migrated away from Hollywood's spotlight. He no longer wanted cameras or red carpets. Instead, he prioritized serenity, seclusion, and purpose. The author finds fulfillment in small moments, music, friendships, and meaningful causes, rather than stardom. Despite leaving Bonanza at its peak, Roberts remained committed to the art. He continued acting in theater and television, always his own way. Trapper John M.D. made a surprising comeback in the 1980s. The performance reintroduced Pernell to a new audience, highlighting his brilliance and authority that made him a legend decades prior. The actor remained bright, authoritative, and deep on film, demonstrating that true artistry endures even in the spotlight. Robert was himself throughout. No fan conventions or lengthy interviews. He wasn't seeking attention. He sought significance. In his later years, he focused on music, social causes, and surrounded himself with individuals who valued him over celebrity, according to friends. Despite the peaceful exterior, a new war was building. One he couldn't outstare. Pernell fought pancreatic cancer with the same calm strength he always had. He avoided making it a public show. Instead of letting it define his final chapter, he addressed it with courage and dignity. Pernell Roberts, 81, died at his Malibu home on January 24, 2010. The world lost a rebel, artist, and a guy who defied the system. Not once. He passed on his legacy with honesty, grace, and an unstoppable fire that Hollywood couldn't contain. Pernell Roberts' death ended an era. Bonanza's final curtain call for the last original cast member. His death went beyond a star. It marked the end of a television era. He never sought fame or participated in Hollywood politics. However, his impact on television and acting was significant. Pernell pioneered. The individual who left a successful show due to moral or artistic differences. That courage was rare then and is rarer now. Long before it was trendy or safe, Roberts spoke out on serious issues: race, honesty, equality, narrative. He sought more from Hollywood, not only for himself but also for other employees. Although fans remember him as powerful and stoic Adam Cartwright, those who truly know him recall something more. A person with strong convictions who held steady when others bowed. His legacy extended beyond his film work. The issue was his refusal to accept behind the scenes. Pernell demonstrated that the boldest act in show business is not seeking fame. Leaving when it doesn't seem right. Roberts died leaving more than memories. Despite leaving a $10 million fortune, he never measured success by wealth. Celebrity didn't delight him. Wealth didn't affect him. They were simply results of a system he never trusted. Pernell experienced a sense of emptiness while earning about $10,000 per episode on Bonanza, making him one of the highest paid performers of the 1960s. Pernell felt restless despite the world's delight in his performance and star power. He disliked how art became a product. How emotions were merchandised. He didn't want to appear purposeful. He craved life. He played his role on screen, hitting his marks and wearing the headgear. He was asking himself more challenging questions off-screen. What does it all mean? What do I provide the world? When the explanations weren't satisfactory, he took action. Pernell was a real-life hero. Unlike others who played heroes on TV. In Selma, Alabama, he marched beside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., not as a celebrity seeking attention, but as a man challenging complicity and wrong. That was not performance. It was heart. He brought that fire back on set. Roberts criticized Hollywood for its lack of diversity, querying why crews were all white, Native American roles were played by white actors in makeup, and progress was often talked about but rarely witnessed. He was not scared to cause discomfort. Indeed, he did. Producers repeatedly dismissed him, but Pernell persisted. Even if his statements cost him opportunities, he persisted. Despite carrying the fire gently, friends said it never died. They observed a man who forewent affluence, fame, and empire to choose a more challenging path. He prioritized integrity, truth, and purpose before popularity and comfort. The true legacy of Pernell Roberts is his refusal to settle for imitation when the world demands the real thing. He demonstrated that true power lies in standing solid when others are weak, not in shouting loudly. He may have gone silent, but his message lives on. Live honestly, behave fearlessly, and never sacrifice your integrity for a script. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to America's Secret for more undiscovered stories about the truth behind Hollywood's polished curtain.